Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Kim, for your kind remarks, and I want to thank Dr. Kim Byung as well for inviting me to this excellent opportunity. Actually, yesterday you heard the diverse views on the state of the denuclearization efforts for North Korea, including some gloomy picture on the future of six-party talks. The mandate given to me this morning is very simple: search a breakthrough, and that is quite a daunting task. But I got very good inspiration from Professor Michael Sandel, who teaches justice at Harvard University. And the secret is to raise many questions rather than giving answers. So I try to benchmark his method. Having said that, let me start with a brief snapshot of where we are at six-party talks. Most of you must be very familiar with how six-party talks came to being in 2003. But a more real and vivid story came to be known through the publication of President George W. Bush's memoir titled Decision Points. According to the memoir, President Bush told President Jiang Zemin in early 2003, if North Korea continues down this nuclear path, the United States would not be able to stop Japan from developing its own nuclear weapons. And on another occasion, he also said the United States would have to consider a military strike against the PRK. And six-party talks, going through all these different stages, as you see here, now reached what we call crossroads. We are either doomed to death, or we may resuscitate these important talks. And recently, North Korea, in January and on other occasions, threatened nuclear catastrophe on the Korean Peninsula. And this triggered some very conservative response on the part of the general public in South Korea. According to the latest opinion polls taken by ASEAN Policy Institute on March 23, about 67% of the public needed atomic bombs, and also another 67% supported the redeployment of U.S. nuclear weapons in South Korea. Of course, this does not have any relations with the government position, but nevertheless, this is the public sentiment in response to North Korean remarks. So, what are our assumptions here today? At least for the time being, what is not is twofold. Number one, it's not predicated upon collapse or collapses this scenario, and also it's not predicated upon any military option. Then by now, are we time conscious? Probably. Some see current situation as a very clear and present danger, while others say you still have some time before Armageddon. And early this month, Ambassador Bosworth testified at the same hearings that negotiated settlement is still the best way. But is it possible, as in 2003 Libya case, which was successfully handled by our colleague, Joseph, who will speak tomorrow, or this is a just elusive dream The key question is North Korea willing to bargain when price is right? Or they are determined to keep its nuclear card for its survival and deterrence? Just last week, North Korea Foreign Ministry said, actually accused the United States of having removed Libya nuclear weapons capability through negotiation as precursor to the invasion, according to the statement. That means, according to North Korean views, Libya should have kept their nuclear weapons capabilities. If this position taken by Ambassador Bosworth is right, then the natural question is, six-party talks are still an effective mechanism or process. It is a well-known saying that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But now people sometimes ask, fix it before it's too late. Well, if these six-party talks are not effective, then do we have a better mechanism? Better negotiation mechanism? Ambassador Hill said yesterday, still six-party talks is the right mechanism. And we tried several options in the past. And last but not least, the important question is, if mere resumption takes several years, how many years for making progress? And also, reopening negotiations rules out pressure, sanctions, or even Plan B. These are all very big questions. In terms of concept or perceptions, what do we mean by breakthrough? Starting point is the return to dialogue. Then how to jumpstart the six-party talks? China prefers unconditional resumption, while South Korea and the United States prefer some kind of pre-steps or preparations to verify North Korea's genuineness. So some prefer return to status ante, or at least some positive North Korean steps before return to the dialogue. What do you mean by progress then? Some people may say, well, that means abiding by September 19th, 2005 joint statement and related agreements. But others are saying that, well, this means a new restructured agreement based on what we call grand bargain or comprehensive approach. So there's a big difference between the two views. One is fast-track negotiation and early implementation. The other is let things evolve, still we have some time. And key thing here is how to secure North Korea's strategic decision on denuclearization and its translation into action within a specified time frame. As in the case of Libya in 2003, and maybe in the case of DPRK in 1994 through Geneva Legal Framework. Then what are obstacles to the breakthrough? There is a long list of obstacles. Firstly, absence of North Korea's strategic decision or political will to give up nukes, as I said. And then, what is more important is deep-rooted distrust towards North Korea as a negotiation partner, and Ambassador Hill knows this very well. So pessimism prevails all the time in Washington and in Seoul. So why we are always pulled by North Korea? That's the question. And diverse interests and different strategies of actors Are we dreaming a different dream? Yes. And North Korea's game plan is quite different. And as many discussers said yesterday, China seems to prioritize stability in North Korea over denuclearization. And its position is very relevant through Ambassador Lee's remarks yesterday. And South Korea wants to avoid never-ending negotiations and needs North Korea's genuine action. And also, some people say there are loopholes in UN Security Council sanctions. We know that Security Council resolutions 1718 and 1874, especially the latter, is the strongest ever resolution on North Korea since the end of the Korean War. But the question is, does this resolution really hurt? If not, why? And then, previously, a common question was, should we draw a red line for North Korea or North Korean provocation or brinkmanship? Some people say US still prefers contain and manage policy. And others say China still is very patient with North Korea's playing with fire. How about the third nuclear testing by North Korea? And even though this is not directly related to nuclear question, but there are some issues, bilateral issues, which may be called extraneous issues, sometimes making our work very difficult. South Korea still prefers some kind of apologies from North Korea over provocations last year. Japan is very keen about the abduction issues. And some critics, especially on the conservative side in the United States, say, well, there is some weakness in existing agreements and negotiation strategy. So you are very familiar with that critique. And again here, role of domestic politics is one important factor. You know, ABC, anything but Clinton. You know, ABR, anything but Romihan. Shall we repeat the same, like anything but Lee Myung-bak or anything but Obama? So we have to, we need depoliticizing. And factors in favor of breakthrough is also has some long list. Some people emphasize these days continued strategic patience will result in acquiescence to North Korea's nuclear status as a fait accompli. And especially in the wake of these Cheonan and Yeonpyeong Island provocations, many people are now there is a growing recognition that in China, US, and South Korea, that no dialogue is prone to more provocations. And also, some people take into account these legacy issues in leadership change or elections in key countries like China, US, and South Korea. And one development we have to watch closely is North Korea's power transition from Kim Jong-il to his son, Kim Jong-un. Their leader may need another big deal before his death. And also there is some unique unpredictable nature of inter-Korean dynamics. So here, I prepared some kind of basic principles for breakthrough. You can take a look. But this is very familiar to many of us. Basically, nuclear issue is not just a US-North Korea issue, but also inter-Korean issue, not to mention regional issue. and North Korea's unshakable commitment to denuclearization. And the goal should be essentially CVID, complete, verifiable, and irreversible dismantlement. Then break the vicious cycle, and cheating should be punished by all parties, and strike a balance between principles and flexibility. And six-party talks should continue, but should not be the only venue. An integrated, comprehensive approach with accompanying pressure and minimize negative impact from bilateral relations, and probably envisage Plan B for failure or breakdown of negotiation solution. So, what are possible elements for partnership measures? For preparations, well, strike a fine balance between conditional and unconditional resumption of six-party talks. And secondly, do some groundwork for confidence building or trust building. And utilize inter-Korean negotiation as much as possible. And follow up on US-China joint statement on DPRK UEP issue in any way. And UEP has been the main culprit for the last 10-year tension. And exercise more leverage of North Korea's neighbors to the maximum, and find an icebreaker but never bribe. Explore intensive negotiations plan and format, not round after round negotiations. Actually, we tried this format in 1994 Geneva Agreement framework, and in 1995 Dayton Accords, which Ambassador Hill is very familiar with, and 1998 Wide Legal Agreement. For main games, choose, this is very important, choose whether to build on September 19 plus approach or to adopt a new approach based on grand bargaining or comprehensive approach. That is, renovation versus rebuilding or remodeling. As you know, grand bargaining is no new concept. As you see here, we have at least 6 or 7 variations in the past. Another important thing is to agree on the scope of the negotiation. Big for big, more for more. But how big is big? Is a big plate always better, or this is a recipe for stalemate and failure, like WTO Doha development round, single undertaking? Agree on an overall roadmap with definite end goal and broad timeline. That's very familiar to us. And don't compromise on key elements of CVID, zero tolerance, no partial deal, only on plutonium program. Event takes should be clearly matched and sequenced, and get ready to address hardcore issues up front. And progress, this is very important for Koreans especially. Progress in denuclearization track should precede peace regime track. And politically speaking, it is very important to utilize diverse bilateral talks, bilateral, trilateral, and quadrilateral, especially US-China summit is very important. Level up participants in due course, beyond a certain point, no doubt, no question. And benchmark multilateral treaty format, because devil lies in the details. Strike a balance between multilateral and regional experience, and keep sanctions in place in line with progress of denuclearization. Perhaps we may check whether there is any good lesson from CTR, Non-Nuga Act, and note that Iran and North Korea are mirror images. So, the various scenarios, best case scenarios, starting from grand bargaining, progressing denuclearization, Korean peace regime in place, and Northeast Asia multilateral security mechanism, or DAO. Worst case scenarios, additional nuke test, and acceleration of the UEP program, then many ongoing tensions. So perhaps we may see nuclear tipping point. Modeling through, in between, somehow, not too hot, not too cold, not too fast, not too slow. Concluding thoughts. Many people say this is a time for creative and preventive diplomacy with strong deterrence. We have lessons from history. At least 3 presidents of the United States with very important remarks at the very critical juncture from Mr. Kennedy, to President Nixon, President Reagan, such as trust but verify. Now President Obama says, proposed a world without nuclear weapons, and President Lee, in his address to CFR, Council of Foreign Relations at the United Nations General Assembly, September last year, he said, we must have a comprehensive and integrated approach to fundamentally resolve the North Korean nuclear question called grand bargain. So the key is now how to make North Korea change its mindset and behavior. The related question is, should we see North Korean regime as it is, or as we wish it to be, as Dr. Perry say very often? Perhaps we may need a holistic approach, because this question involves nuclear policy as well as North Korea policy. So I found 3 keys of C: coherence, comprehensiveness, and coordination. Thank you.